Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. So today we are going to continue from our previous session. So what we discussed in the previous session, we will do a quick revision of that. Okay. So tell me quickly, what is the clause 1, part 1 of first schedule of CA Act is about? Clause 1, part 1, first schedule. Simple. Anyone? Clause 1, part 1, first schedule. No? So clause 1, part 1, first schedule was about, yes,
Allows any person to practice in his name as a chartered accountant unless such person is a partner or employee.
absolutely correct. Now, the second question is, who can be a partner? With whom we can enter into a partnership?
A CA who has certificate of practice.
And
Mm,
there are other people also with whom we can be partner?
Yeah. Members of other professional bodies and having such qualifications.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. However, remember one thing, we have multidisciplinary partnership firm guideline till the time it is also permitted by their respective professional bodies. Okay, we cannot enter into a partnership. It has to be allowed from both sides. So it's allowed from our side. It has to be allowed from the other side also. Okay. Next question is that what is the clause 8 about of part 1 first schedule?
Accepts a position as an auditor of a company without first communicating with the previous auditor.
Yes. And in that case, what is the thing that we required with respect to the communication? When I say communication, what we need to demonstrate that there was a communication?
It should be proper, that is, mm, when sending through registered post, it should be with acknowledgement due. When
Hmm.
handing over by hand, uh,
Yes,
there should
correct.
be proper acknowledgement that it is being handovered, or we
Yes,
can communicate through the mail which is provided in the uh, records of the institute.
yes, absolutely correct. And you need to have a UDIN for that.
UDIN also.
Yes. Now that all these things we together call it positive evidence of delivery. Okay. And in this particular scenario, do we need to communicate with only statutory auditor?
Not only statutory auditor, even any type of auditor, like any type
And
of audits we need to communicate.
yes, very good. Absolutely correct. Okay. So in last session, we discussed about the part 1 and part 2, that was members in practice and members in service. Now we will go for the part 3, which is pretty much easy. Okay. And we will close with the, part 4, the entire first schedule. Okay. Can anyone tell me about part 3, which is applicable to members in general? What is the clause 1 about?
Representing him as a fellow chartered accountant without being a fellow.
Yes, absolutely correct. So if a member is not a fellow and he represents himself to be a fellow chartered accountant, in that case, he will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, like there are two type of membership basically. One is the associate member, second is a fellow member. Okay. So associate member from the first day, if you once you become a chartered accountant, you are from first day like associate member. Okay. And once you complete the continuous practice of 5 years in India, okay, or you are associate for more than 5 years plus you possess such qualification which is prescribed under regulation 53, in that case you can apply for fellow membership. Okay. So there are two types of members. One, associate member. Second, fellow member. Associate member, you can be from day one. Fellow member, you can be after 5 years of continuous practice in India, or you have to be associate for more than 5 years. Plus, you need to have such qualifications as prescribed under regulations. This is something what is specified in Section 5 of the CAI. Okay. Now, if you are not a fellow and if you act as a fellow, you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct under Clause 1, Part 3 of first schedule. Now, second schedule, second clause. Can anyone tell me what is the second clause about of Part 3?
Does not supply information called for by the institute or does not comply with the requirements of the institute.
Absolutely correct. If there isn't any information which is being called and if you do not supply it, okay, if you do not provide that information, you will be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, when I talk about information, okay, and by whom? So here it's not only the institute which will be there, like to whom you need to supply the information. Here basically it will be institute, council, or any of its committees, director, discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board, or appellate authority. All the wings of the institute, that if they require any information, if you do not supply that information, then in that case, you will be held guilty. Okay. Now, what if you supply false information?
Clause 3, Part 2 of second schedule.
Very good. Absolutely correct. If you supply false information, that goes under the clause 3 of part 2 of second schedule, that we will discuss in some time. Okay. That if you supply false information, you will be held guilty in clause 3. If you supply no information, then clause 2. If you supply false information, then clause 3 of part 2. Okay. Or no information, clause 2 of part 3. First schedule, second schedule. This is how it is there to the institute. Now, if you supply false information to third party, then what will happen? False information to third party.
Clause 3, Part 3 of first schedule.
Absolutely correct. If you supply false information to any third party, or if you supply false information for advertising or for any thing which is permissible under clause 6 and 7 of part 1, which was with respect to advertisement. Now there is a advertisement guidelines. Okay. Now if you supply false information, like advertisement guidelines is you can do certain things. And if you supply false information in that permitted things, clause 3 will get attracted. Okay. So to summarize, if you say no information or false information, there are two scenarios. No information to ICAI, which will cover under clause 2. If you provide false information to ICAI, it will cover under clause 3. But here part 2 of second schedule. Here part 3 of first schedule. And if you provide false information outside, again clause 3, part 3, first schedule. Clear? This is how the entire scenario works with respect to the information. Any doubt? Any doubt with respect to any of the point? Okay. Now, coming to the next part is part 4, other misconduct. Now, before I proceed to other misconduct, or before I proceed to discuss on this other misconduct part, can anyone tell me what is the difference between professional misconduct and other misconduct? Why we have two different misconduct? What is the difference between professional misconduct and other misconduct? Why do we have two different kind of misconduct here?
Sir, because in case of professional misconduct, that is only concerned about the professional, I mean, in his professional capacity. But in case of other misconducts, even in case of professional misconduct and also in other course, it will be affected, sir.
Okay, it will be affected. Very good. Anything else? Why there is a difference between, apart from this one, why there is a difference? Anyone? No? Personal acts are also covered in other misconduct. Yes, absolutely correct. Yes. Okay, so see, when I talk about misconduct, okay, these misconducts are defined under section 22. Like when I say professional misconduct or other misconduct, these are defined under section 22 of the CA Act, professional and other misconduct. Okay, and over there the powers have been provided under to the disciplinary directorate and the board of discipline to look into these misconduct. Penalty, prosecution, penalty, and the other things will work in a bit different way when we will be discussing about the type of misconduct. It may differ. So that's why you have two different things with respect to the misconduct part. Okay. Now, so there are, as we said, there is a board of discipline, there is a disciplinary committee, okay, and there is a basically third authority, you can say disciplinary directorate. Now, tell me one thing: when a case will go to a board of discipline or when a case will go to disciplinary directorate?
Sir, when there is a misconduct in the second schedule, it will goes to discipline directory. In board of discipline, when there is a misconduct in the schedule 1.
Yes, absolutely correct. So if it's a falling under first schedule, board of discipline. If it is falls under second schedule or both of the schedules, it will go to disciplinary committee. Okay. Now, if you want to see the entire process flow, then on your study material on page 19.40, there is an excellent chart which explains the entire disciplinary procedure mechanism in a very simple way. Okay, very easy way. So you mark it as an important, very important part, because it's in a one single glimpse, it tells you the entire disciplinary proceedings and the mechanism which is there. What is the role of directorate, disciplinary directorate, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, okay, and how the things work, the penalty part, everything. Okay, so you mark this very important on page 19.40 of your study material. Okay, great. Now coming back to the clauses, we were talking about part 4. Part 4 covers two clauses. Clause 1, if you are guilty, okay, if you are deemed, if you are found guilty by any court with a term less than 6 months, okay, in that case, clause 1 will be applicable. Clause 2 talks about disrepute to the profession and the institute. If you bring disrepute to the profession or the institute, in that case, clause 2 will be applicable. And these both clauses, if you are found guilty under these clauses, it will be deemed to be other misconduct. So when you are writing an exam, you have to be careful that you write that it is other misconduct, not professional misconduct. Okay. And some of the students have usually have a doubt whether it's a criminal offense or civil. As of now, it says any civil, any criminal code. So if you are, convicted, or if you are guilty by any civil or criminal code for an offense where the imprisonment term, it does not exceed 6 months, it will be covered. It covers both civil and criminal. Okay. So that was your part 4. Pretty much easy, straightforward, nothing difficult here. Still, any doubt with this? Any doubt? No? Okay. If no doubt, then let's proceed to the second schedule. Okay. And how we will proceed is, we will start with a question first. We will take a question and then we will move to the second schedule. Like, by that way, we will be able to understand the detailed scenario also. Let me share. Okay. Let me read the question. I think there is some issue. Just give me a minute.
AAA&PE & Co., Chartered Accountants, are statutory auditors of Neotech Systems Limited, an unlisted but widely held IT company, for the financial year 2025-26. Neotech has a major long-term software implementation contract with a government-owned telecom undertaking, GTL. Under this contract, the total contract value is 600 crore rupees and, as at 31st March 2026, management claims 70% completion and has recognized 420 crore rupees as revenue. During the audit, the engagement partner, CA Aditya, receives only a brief email from the project head stating that the project is around 65-70% complete and a high-level Excel sheet of cumulative build milestones that is not tied to actual work completed. No engineers or independent experts certificate, no detailed cost statements, and no site visit evidence are obtained. The internal audit report available to him notes that only about 40-45% of modules have been successfully implemented and accepted by GTL, and that certain change request amounts billed are under dispute and not yet accepted. Despite this, due to pressure to finalize accounts before a proposed private equity infusion, CA Aditya does not perform further procedures to verify the actual completion level, relies solely on management's email and the Excel sheet, and signs an unmodified audit report on Neotech's financial statements.
So that was the first part of the question, basically. Okay, now we will go to the second part of the question. Okay, again, it's the same question. It's a case study, detailed one, but that was the first part. Now this is the second part.
After the audit is signed, CA Aditya is invited as a speaker at a closed investor roundtable hosted by a private equity fund which is evaluating Neotech for investment. Some of the invitees are not existing clients of AAA&PE & Co. During his presentation on opportunities in Indian IT services, he shows a slide titled Case Study Neotech Systems Limited, our client, with its logo, mentions the 600 crore rupees GTL contract and states that, as per our audit, revenue of 420 crore rupees has been recognized at 70% completion, and informally adds that, internally we felt actual progress might be only about 50%. But we trusted management's call. He also answers specific questions from investors about the status of disputed change requests and expected collections from GTL, using internal information obtained during the audit. There is no legal requirement or regulatory notice compelling these disclosures, and Neoteca's board has not authorized him to share client-specific details in this forum. A few months later, GTL publicly disputes the completion percentage and refuses to accept several build milestones, leading to a sharp fall in Neoteca's revenue and profits. The investors who attended the roundtable lodged complaints with ICAI alleging that CA Aditya gave a misleading report. A. With reference to the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949, analyze whether CA Aditya has committed professional misconduct.
So that is the question number 1. We will go to the question number 2 in some time, but I will give you, 1 minute. Read the first part first, the first half of the question, and then we will go to the second half. So read first half in, and understand the given things which are there in this particular question. Yes, I hope you have read the first part of the question. Now let's move to the second part of the question. Take a minute, read the second part also. We will discuss both together. Okay. Now tell me, if you are done with the reading of the second part, tell me the answer to the question number 1. With reference to the CA Act, analyze whether CA Aditya has committed professional misconduct or not. Tell me. So what do you think?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's a professional misconduct under Part 8. I mean, not sorry, Part 8. I mean, Clause 8, Part 1 of second schedule. In the first case, I mean, he is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, and also Clause 7 will apply since he is gross negligent. I mean, that can also be taken. Those two things, and in the second case, he disclosed the client's information, which is clause 1 part 1 of second schedule, disclosing the information of the client. I mean, he has obtained during the engagement with the client.
Okay. Anyone else to add something over here? Anyone? Something else to add? Okay. So let's look into the facts of the cases. Okay. What is happening over here is there was a contract, okay, GTL, government-owned telecom undertaking. So contract with the government-owned telecom undertaking, about 6,000 crore. Out of that, the company recognized 420 crores as a revenue. And what is happening is, out of that 420 crore, which is recognized as revenue, okay, now the company provided a calculation of like, okay, they are done with the 65 to 70%. Based on that, this revenue is recognized. Okay, so they gave us around 65 to 70% complete some Excel calculation. However, no engineer's report, independent expert certificate, or no details were obtained regarding this particular part. Internal audit also said that the percentage about the completion is somewhere around 40 to 55%, not 65 to 70%. However, due to pressure, okay, due to pressure and due to the request from the management and relying solely on the management's email, Aditya signed the unmodified audit report on the financial statement. Now, as you answered that in this particular scenario, clause 7 of part 1 of second schedule, that's a gross negligence, will be applicable. So let's say clause 7 as of now, I will write. Any other clause do you think? Yes, Lavanya, very good. So you are saying clause 8. Clause 5. Okay. Very good, Geeta. What else?
Sir, in this case, can we say that there is an intimidation threat, something because of the pressure or something? I mean, can it be added?
There is a threat. You can say, see, now taking the pressure to finalize the account. When there is an intimidation threat, when you are in such a position, being a statutory auditor does not put you in such a position. If you are being pressurized by the management, you have rights, you have way to communicate to the management, okay, we will not accept to the pressure. And
Yeah.
that's where the integrity comes into the place. So
Okay.
I would not go on the threat side in this particular scenario.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Any other clause that you think might get triggered in this particular case? No?
So sir, in this case, can we say that clause 6 or clause 5?
Clause 5, yes, okay, let's say clause 6 also. Okay. We will discuss all these clauses. Anyone else with any different clause? Like 7, 8, 5, 6. Anyone? No? Okay. So can I apply clause 2 in this scenario? Clause 2, part 1, second schedule. What is that about?
It's about certifying the financial statement without examination by by himself or his partner or by the employee of the firm.
Can I say this over here that clause 2 will also be applicable?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So clause 2. Okay. Clause 2. Yes, Lavanya.
Sir, clause 2 is applicable when he did not make any examination of the records, but in this case, he obtained evidence like Excel communication from the management. So I think clause 2 will not be applicable.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sir. I mean, in this case, I mean, he obtained the evidence, but he did not examine, sir. I mean, he didn't check it properly and didn't consider the report of the internal auditor.
Okay. Okay. So let's
Sir, the
understand.
reason only
Yes, yes.
even after obtaining the evidence, he did not examine. Hence, clause 7 will be applicable.
Okay, very good. Okay, fine. So now let's go to the second part. I'll come to the clauses. Let's go to the second part. Now, what do you think in the second part? What is applicable over here?
Here, the clause 1, part 1 of second schedule. Disclosing the information of the client.
Disclosing the information of the client. Straightforward. There is no doubt in this. Clause 1, okay, will be applicable. Okay. Any other one? Any other like answer to this? Like any other clause you would like to track over here? No. Okay, great. Not an issue. See, now let's understand these clauses and how they are relevant to this particular case scenario and what you do when in an exam this type of question comes. And this is purposefully taken by me. Okay. So let's understand these clauses first. So for example, clause 2. What clause 2 talks about? We will go through the clauses and we will understand these clauses. Clause 2 talks about if you certify or submit in his name, okay, certify or submit in his name or the firm's name a report on the examination of the financial statement, unless the examination is done by either him, partner, or employee, or another chartered accountant in practice. That means if you sign a report without examination, okay, where the examination is not done by you, by the joint auditor, by another auditor, or by your partner or employee, in that case, clause 2 will be applicable. Now, what is examination? The term here, like when I say examination, that is you go and check the evidence. You check the financial statement, whether the, the details in that financial statement are appropriate or not. That's the term examination means over here, that you have to go and see the underlying subject matter, the financial statement, the appropriateness, the sampling, the test, the procedures. You have to perform all these things. If you do not perform these things, clause 2 will be applicable. Okay. Now, when we talk about clause 5, basically, we'll start with the clause 5. Okay. The rest of the clauses. Clause 5 talks about that where you fail to disclose a material fact that is known to you, okay, in the financial statement, but disclosure was necessary. Disclosure was necessary in the financial statement, and you are concerned with that financial statement in a professional capacity. Now, it talks about the disclosure. Clause 6 basically talks about fails to report material misstatement. Clause 7 talks about if you do not exercise you do not exercise due diligence or you are grossly negligent. Again, now clause 8 talks about that you fails to obtain sufficient information, or the exceptions that are taken are material to negate the expression of opinion. Now the question comes is, can it happen that a particular scenario, these clauses are, applicable all together, like, together, like in a one single go? Answer is yes. It is there. That means in a scenario, you may say that these clauses can apply, can apply together. For example, if I say he failed to certify without examination, at the same time he was gross negligent, at the same time he failed to obtain sufficient information. Now, where he, failed to like examine the particular, the financial statement and he certified. So he did not obtain sufficient information. He did not examine in that particular financial statement. He was gross negligent. Okay. And if there is any misstatement, then you may also apply clause 6. And if there was any disclosure failure, then you can apply clause 5. So in a particular case scenario, you can apply these clauses, and these clauses are linked together. Specifically 5 to 9, that is fail to disclose, fail to report, does not exercise due diligence, fail to obtain, and the 9-1 is fail to invite attention from material departure of generally accepted audit principles or auditing standards. Okay. So these are interconnected. Now, in this particular scenario that we were discussing, here, there was an overstatement of a revenue. This is overstatement of revenue. Revenue is recognized on a higher side. And he signed that audit report without verifying that. So first of all, you can invoke clause 2. Perfectly fine. Yes. The moment I invoke clause 2, I can say that, clause 7 can be also applicable, gross negligence. Now, the question comes is there is a failure to disclose material fact, or is there a failure to disclose or report material misstatement? What do you think? Is this a failure to disclose material fact or failure to report material misstatement? Misstatement, yes. So in this scenario, we are talking about misstatement. I would not say material fact over here, because the fact which is there, like 60 to 75% complete, the fact that is the management is providing is incorrect. The revenue recognized 420 crores is incorrect. When I say a fact means that is already there in the numbers, but it is not disclosed appropriately. It's hidden, it's clubbed, not appearing on the face. That's a fact. In this scenario, it's a misstatement. The number of 420 crores of revenue is overstated. So I would say here, fail to report material misstatement. Clause 6 will be applicable. And you can apply clause 8 also, fail to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence to warrant an opinion.
Sir, one doubt, sir. Sir, in the given case, if the clause 6 or clause 5 applies, that is material facts or material misstatements known to him, in that case, can we assume that he has examined it properly, or can we assume that the examination had happened so that the clause 2 will not apply? I mean, can we assume that, sir? Link that, sir?
So there could be a scenario where you can say he has examined. So when he had all the evidences in his hand, he performed the procedures, all the things were there. But when the time comes of application of SA 450, that's the evaluation of the audit evidence. At that point in time, he did not appropriately evaluate the audit evidence. Rather, he issued the unmodified opinion. He was gross negligent. So over there, you can say that, edge case scenario where 5 is applicable, 6 is applicable, 7 is applicable, and 2 is not applicable.
Okay, sir. Okay.
But very edge case, because in most of the cases, if there is, fail to report material misstatement, that usually happens when, the financial statement are not verified at all and they are signed directly, or, the evidence is not collected.
So we cannot say, I mean, if he knows the material misstatement of material facts, that doesn't mean, I mean, that he did not, I mean, we cannot assume that he examined the
We cannot assume that he has not examined it.
Yeah, okay.
Unless and until that is given in the question that he did not examine it and directly signed under the pressure. That's a different scenario.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So by this one question, we got an understanding of clause 2, clause 5, 6, 7, 8 together in one simple question, that we understood about these clauses, that how they can apply under a single question. Okay. Now coming to the second part of this particular question, that is where there was a breach of privacy, confidentiality, basically, I would say. So here, if a chartered accountant in practice disclose information acquired in the course of professional engagement, remember that, acquired in the course of professional engagement, unless it is permitted by the client or required by law, he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Here, he disclosed that information, basically. That information was disclosed in an investor roundtable. And it was not asked by any of the company personnel or by any law to disclose the information in the roundtable. That's why clause 1 will be applicable. Now coming to the second part of this question, would your answer change under A if instead of an investor roundtable, CA Aditya disclosed the same information only in response to a detailed questionnaire from SEBI or NFRA issued under the statutory powers? Pretty much easy.
Yeah, sir, it will change.
It will
It will
change.
change. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So it will change. In that case, there is no professional misconduct because it is shared under the clause 1 itself. Like it is permissible by law. If like clause 1 says, unless you have a client's consent or it is required by law, you should not share. Here it is required by law. That's why he can share the information under a questionnaire. Clear? So pretty much straightforward this point number B, but at this particular question we understood the important clauses of second schedule part 1, that is fail to disclose material fact, fail to report material misstatement, do not does not exercise due diligence, fail to obtain sufficient information, and clause number 2, that is certified or submits a report unless he verifies. Clear? Any doubt?
Yes, sir. Sir, just to understand, in suppose in exam this kind of question comes, and like where we have to address like 5 to 6 clauses. In such a case, how do we address? I mean, how to write the answer in such cases, sir? I mean, first we need to describe all the clauses, or like how we need to address it.
See, in that particular case, what I will suggest is, if you think, like there are 3 different clauses or 4 different clauses are applicable. So in that case, write the 4 clauses. Like what are the 4 clauses about? Then in analysis part, you shortly analyze the question or given scenario and then you conclude. Okay, because if it is a 4 mark or 5 mark question, you have to write at least, to that particular 5 points or 6 points. But do not make a essay of, of 3 to 4 different pages. Do not invest your time that much behind a bigger provision part. Then I can, be more precise on the analysis and the conclusion.
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, let us take one more question. Very good question. It's a good topic. Okay. Let me read it.
MS Sharp & Co., a firm of chartered accountants, are the statutory auditors of Dynamic Solutions Limited, a listed company. During the financial year 2024 to 25, the Chief Financial Officer, CFO, of the company resigned, leaving the accounts department without senior leadership during the critical year-end closing period. The Audit Committee of Dynamic Solutions Limited approached CA Sharp, the engagement partner, and requested him to lend his firm's expert staff to the company on a temporary basis to oversee the finalization of accounts, preparation of the cash flow statement, and consolidation of subsidiary accounts. The company offered to pay a separate, substantial fee for these special services. CA Sharp, wanting to maintain good client relations, agreed to the request. His team worked at the company's premises for a month, prepared the financial statements, and handed them over to the board of directors. Subsequently, MS Sharp & Co. commenced the statutory audit of these financial statements. Examine the action of CA Sharp with reference to the provisions of the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949, and the Companies Act, 2013.
Okay, take a minute, read the question again, and then tell me, the actions of CA Sharp. What do you think about? Okay, now tell me, what do you think about this particular scenario?
Sir, this seems like a self-review threat.
Okay.
And in case of the, I'm answering in case of provisions, then I mean, what we say, expressing an opinion on the financial statement where his firm or his partner or his, or himself having a substantial interest.
Okay.
Clause 4 of clause 4 part 1 of second schedule.
Okay, very good. So yes, absolutely correct. Okay, clause 4 part 1 of second schedule, that talks about that you express an opinion on the financial statement of any business or enterprise where you or your partner are substantially interested. Now in this scenario, what is happening is, okay, let's understand the scenario first. So what is happening is, there is a CA, Messrs. Sharp and Company. Okay, they're the statutory auditor of Dynamic Solutions. Okay. Now the CFO resigned, leaving the accounts department without a senior. They audited, the audit committee approached CA Sharp that, okay, you lend your firm's expert staff to the company on a temporary basis to oversee the finalization of accounts, preparation of cash flow statement, consolidation of subsidiary accounts. Okay, and for that, company like offered a separate fee, that is special services to the auditor. Okay, now CA Sharp agreed the request. His team worked on the company's premises for 1 month and prepared the financial statements, handed over to the board of directors. Subsequently, they commenced the audit, and they performed the audit on these financial statements itself. Now what is happening is, self-review thread. You absolutely correctly said that in this particular scenario, it's a self-review thread, that the financial statements are being reviewed by the same auditor who prepared it. So you are, looking your own financial statements. That is the number one thing. That is under CA Act. Perfectly fine. Very good. We have discussed in CA Act, like, okay, substantially interested, self-review threat. Okay, clause 4 will be applicable. Now tell me one thing. What about the Companies Act? What do you think about the Companies Act in this particular scenario?
Section 144.
Section 144. Yes, very good.
I mean,
What
services which
Section
are prohibited.
144 says?
Services which are prohibited for the statutory auditor.
Yes, absolutely correct. So in this particular scenario, what is happening is, Section 144 of the Companies Act prohibits an auditor to provide certain services. Okay. So if an auditor, like provides certain services to the company, there is a violation of Section 144. Now, if there is a violation of Section 144, then in that case, auditor becomes, there is something, if there is a violation of Section 144, then there is something, something happens to the auditor. What is that? Anyone?
Then clause 5 of the part 2 of the second schedule will attract.
Clause 5. Why clause 5?
Because it's a violation of the Companies Act, right?
Okay.
He becomes disqualified to perform audit.
Absolutely correct. Becomes disqualified. That is the ineligibility under Section 141 of the Companies Act. So 141, okay, 3I, if I'm not wrong, 141 subsection 3 clause I talks about, clause I talks about that if a person, okay, renders, if the particular auditor renders any service under Section 144, he is not eligible to be, appointed as an auditor. He is disqualified. Okay, and if he is disqualified in that particular case, what will happen is that he is in contravention of the provisions of Companies Act. He has contravened the provisions of Companies Act, and he was the auditor also by contravening the provisions of Companies Act. And
Yes,
there is
sir.
a clause for that.
Yes, sir. That is the reason I said that clause 5 will attract on the second schedule, part
Sir,
2.
is it clause 9, part 1 of first schedule?
No. That is before accepting the audit.
That is before. Now,
Yeah,
that's where the clause 5 comes into the picture. So, clause 5, basically, clause 5 of part 2, not part 1, part 2 of second schedule.
Yes, sir. Part 2, second schedule, clause 5.
Yes. Okay, let me share, let me go back to the notes. Okay, so when we are talking about clause 4, it's a substantial interest, substantially interested in the FS. Okay, if you want to attract, that will be attracted, but there is a clause 3 which talks, clause 5 that any provision of the Companies Act, you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. So clause 5 talks about provisions of Companies Act, any provision. Clause 8 of the part 1 of first schedule talks about communication, and clause 9 talks about 139 and 140. So those are the specific provisions over there covered. But here clause 5 covers any provision.
Sir, in clause 9, part 1 of first schedule, whether it is 139 to 140 or 141, sir. I mean,
okay, it talks about generally 139 to 140, but why we go for 141 in that scenario is there is a specific reason, because if you see 140, it refers back to 141.
yes, sir. I mean, you have told this point.
So that's why we have to see 141 also.
Okay, sir.
So in this particular scenario, that the question we were discussing, you can attract, just a minute, you can apply clause 4, you can apply self review threat, you can also mention section 1 part 2 second schedule, which talks about that X is an auditor of the company in contravention of the provisions of the Companies Act. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you write the answer for this particular question, okay, you need to specify these things at section 144, accounting bookkeeping services, clause 4, okay, there is a substantial interest or not, self-review threat is there, and on the basis of that, clause 4, clause 5, both will be attracted, section 144 disqualification is there, and this is how you are guilty. Any doubt with this particular question? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So here we discussed about clause 4 and you can say clause 5 of the part 2. Okay. Now let me take you to one more question again, very important, very good one. Okay, that will help us to understand the question in bit more detail.
Sir, will you provide these questions as an assignment, or I mean, whether will it be available to us, sir?
It will be uploaded on the notes. Once the chapter is done, I will upload everything. Let me read the question.
Gupta and Singh, a partnership firm of chartered accountants, was appointed as the statutory auditor of Dynamic Motors Pvt. Limited for the financial year 2024 to 25. The firm has two partners, C.A. Gupta and C.A. Singh. C.A. Singh's father had gifted him 21% of the equity shares of Dynamic Motors Pvt. Limited 2 years ago. Although C.A. Singh is the legal and beneficial owner of these shares, he does not interfere in the day-to-day management of the company. During the audit planning, C.A. Gupta noted this shareholding but concluded that since C.A. Singh was not involved in the audit work for Dynamic Motors Pvt. Limited at all, the firm's independence was not impaired. The audit was conducted by C.A. Gupta and his team, and he subsequently signed the audit report on behalf of the firm. Analyze the conduct of C.A. Gupta and the firm, Gupta and Singh, with reference to the provisions of the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949, and its schedules.
Pretty much straightforward, nothing difficult over here. Just read the question and then tell me what do you think about this particular scenario. What is the problem here? Tell me, what is the problem over here? I don't think there will be a substantial interest. What do you think? He's
Yes, sir.
not participating.
The participation is not important in this case. In this case, however, holding the substantial interest is what the matter is. Which comes to the important.
Okay. Very good. Anything else that might be applicable in this scenario?
Clause 9 of Part 1 of first schedule.
Clause 9 of Part 1 of first schedule. Okay. 139, 140. Okay. Very good. Yes. Anything else that you think might be applicable over here? Anything else? In that particular scenario, see, if you apply clause 9, okay, that is compliance with 139, 140. If you apply clause
5 also
4,
will get applicable.
hmm?
Clause 5 also will get applicable. The part 2 of
Fail to
second-
disclose.
acts as an auditor in contravention of the Companies Act.
Yeah, part 2, sorry, yes. Yeah, that is also applicable. One more clause you can write if you want, gross negligent.
Yeah.
If you are applying so many things, then yes, you can add on one more clause 7, okay, that he was gross negligent. So that can be also, applied that he was gross negligent or there was a lack of due diligence in his professional duties. Okay, so those things are also available. So for this particular question, yes, you are correct. You can write all these things. You can mention clause 4, you can mention clause 9, you can mention clause 5. Okay, or if you want, you can go to clause 7 also, but that is kind of subjective scenario that you need to apply appropriately. Okay, if you think it is applicable, you can mention about that.
So this one not participating in the day-to-day affairs of the business is irrelevant here.
Irrelevant, because even in the Companies Act, it does not talk about the day-to-day operation. It talks about holding the percentage, okay, of interest. Same way, same. In the, like basically in the CA Act, when we talk about substantial interest, it talks about holding of interest up to 20%, holding of shares or equity up to 20% or more than that. So nowhere it is we are talking about day to day.
Yeah, sir, this day-to-day interference will come in HUF, I mean the family business, in case of clause 11, part 1 of first schedule.
Absolutely, yes. Not for the company where you are an auditor. Okay. Let me take up one more question on this similar line. Very good question.
So, sir, actually, in the substantial interest category, the 21% is carrying the equity rights. It is clearly mentioned in the substantial. What is defined the substantial interest is the carrying the shares which is not less than 20% of the voting rights. That itself is enough. Whether they are participating or not participating is irrelevant.
Yes, absolutely correct.
Sir, objectivity will be this principle we can write that objectivity because of conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest, yes, you can write, but see, for that only, we have a clause 4 where you are, expressing an opinion, you have a substantial interest. So wherever clause 4 will be applicable, there will be a conflict of interest. That is the clause 4 about.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let us take up one more question. Very good question on this. This is the kind of an MCQ, but let's first understand the question and then we will go to the options.
MS Sharp & Co., a firm of chartered accountants, was appointed as the statutory auditor of Zenith Limited for the FY 2023-24 at the company's annual general meeting, AGM, held on 30th September 2024. The previous auditors, MS Insight and Associates, did not seek reappointment. On 2nd October 2024, Sharp & Co. sent a letter by registered post acknowledgement due, REPD, to MS Insight and Associates, communicating their appointment. Due to a public holiday and a subsequent postal delay, the acknowledgement card had not been received by 10th October 2024. The management of Zenith Limited was pressing Sharp & Co. to immediately commence the limited review for the second quarter ending 30th September 2024 to meet a regulatory deadline. The engagement partner of Sharp & Co., having a good rapport with the partner of Insight and Associates, made a phone call to him on 11th October 2024. The partner of Insight and Associates verbally confirmed receiving the letter and stated, "We have no objections, you can proceed with the engagement." Believing this to be sufficient, Sharp & Co. formally accepted the appointment on 12th October 2024 by signing the engagement letter and commenced the limited review. The postal acknowledgement was finally received on 18th October 2024. With reference to the Chartered Accountants Act, 1949, and its schedules, is MS Sharp & Co. liable for professional misconduct?
Okay, take a minute, read the question again and then tell me what do you think. Okay, tell me, what do you think in this particular scenario? We have covered this topic earlier also.
Sir, in this case, Section 8 of Part 1, first schedule will get applied. I mean, he will be held guilty of professional misconduct.
Okay.
Reason
But
being,
he already made a phone call, and on phone call he got an no objection.
I mean, it will not be sufficient. I mean, by making the phone call, it's not sufficient. I mean, it will not what uh, be considered as a communication between the previous auditor. It should be either by registered post with acknowledgement due, or if in case he is delivering it by hands, by with acknowledgement, or by email, which is registered email with the ICAI or last known official email ID. Only these three communications are applied. I mean, allowed.
Yes, absolutely correct. So this phone call which is there in this particular scenario is not a positive evidence of delivery. Okay, like even if he has sent to registered post acknowledgement due, that's a positive evidence of delivery, but there is not a completion of the communication. The completion happens when he will receive the no objection, okay, by letter,
Yes.
which was received on
Yes,
18th
sir.
October.
Exactly. In this case, we have to wait for reasonable time for the reply. Actually, he did not
Yes.
wait for reasonable time for reply, even though that positive evidence of delivery is received on later, even though he called. But I feel that he is held professional misconduct at the clause 8, part 1.
Absolutely correct. Yes. So the clauses will be applicable that he did not communicate. Okay, because the letter was received on 18th, reply was received on 18th, and he signed the engagement letter on the before that. And that's why the problem was there. And accordingly, clause 8 will be applicable, even though he has a verbal communication of no objections, you can proceed with the engagement when he called the previous auditor, even though the clause 8 will apply.
Yes, sir. However, that what is the waiting? Reasonable time is not clearly mentioned in the clause, but we should reasonably
We have to
wait
wait.
for that.
Yes, we have to wait for it. Clear with this?
Sir,
So,
one more doubt, sir.
hmm,
If you modify in this case, suppose uh, Mr. Sharp Sharp calls the previous auditor.
hmm.
And what if the previous auditor gives the confirmation via his last known email ID or official email ID to Mr. Sharp, the current auditor? What happens in that case, sir?
If he has his official email ID a confirmation, that you can
Yeah.
say that you have received the reply and you can proceed with that.
So, the current auditor trying via call or any other means, that will not be relevant in this case. No, if he receives the confirmation via official email ID.
Yes, official or last known email ID. Official means
Yeah.
that is there in the
I
database,
see.
or last
Yeah.
known email ID.
Yeah. So in that case, it will hold good, no, sir?
Yeah, in that case, there will be he will not be guilty of professional misconduct, because when I say communication, it has to be written. If you have a written thing, then it is fine.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, it will be a problem. Any doubt? Any doubt? No? Okay. No doubts. Let us take mm, some more questions on the similar few similar topics. Just a minute. Again, a good question, I would say. Let me read it.
CA Priya is the statutory auditor of Healthbridge Pharma Limited, a listed company. During the audit for the financial year 2024 to 25, she discovered a systematic fraud orchestrated by the company's managing director. The fraud involved inflating sales figures through fictitious transactions with shell entities, resulting in an overstatement of revenue by approximately 5 crores rupees. After gathering sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, CA Priya concluded that a fraud had been committed against the company by an officer. In accordance with the procedures laid down in Section 143(12) of the Companies Act, 2013, she first reported the matter to the company's audit committee. Upon not receiving any reply or observations from the committee within the stipulated time, she proceeded to report the matter to the Secretary, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MCA, by submitting Form ADT 4.
Sorry, yeah.
ADT.
Okay. Some issue. Just a minute. Yeah. The board of directors, upon becoming aware of her report to the MCA, was furious. They sent a legal notice to CA Priya, accusing her of a breach of the fundamental principles of professional confidentiality by disclosing sensitive internal matters to an external government authority without the board's consent. The notice stated their intent to file a complaint of the professional misconduct against her with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, analyze the situation and advise CA Priya whether her action on reporting the fraud to the MCA constitute professional misconduct under the CA Act and its schedule. Okay, take a minute, read the question again and then try to answer. I would say this is pretty much straightforward, nothing difficult in this particular scenario. But still, what do you think in this particular scenario?
Sir, CA Priya is not held guilty because she complied with section 143 subsection 12, and she took care of all the procedures which has to be taken care. And she reported the fraud to the audit committee and later the central government, the MCA, by submitting ADT 4. In this case, it's not a, it's not a breach of fundamental principle of professional, confidentiality.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else with a different answer?
No, sir. He summarized very well, but only thing is that the class 1 of the second schedule of the part 1 of the second schedule will not attract. The reason she complied on the procedure of that part only. Also, the CARO also is CARO also there is a class actually. There is a class 11 is also there. As for the class 11 also it has to be reported. There is no professional misconduct on this part. It's very much clear.
Yes. So there is no misconduct because it is a requirement of the law to be reported. Now let me change this question a bit. That's where the things will start. Now the question said she discovered. Instead of discover, she suspected. I'm changing the word. She suspected a systematic fraud, okay, orchestrated by the company. The fraud expected to involve. I'm changing the things, few things a bit in this particular question. The fraud expected to involve inflating sales figure through fictitious transaction with shell entities approximately of 5 crores. Now I'm specifying in the end that after detailed investigation by external third party, no fraud was identified. So after a detailed investigation by an external third party, no fraud was identified.
So again, my answer is still hold good because in the section it's very clearly mentioned that it is a suspected or identified or actual more than 1 crore. It is very clear. Here the value is 5 crore. There is no professional misconduct. Even suspected also, she can very well report to the central government.
Absolutely correct.
If the auditor has a reason to believe that offense has, offense of fraud involving more than 1 crore, then she should
Yes, very
report.
good. So section 143.12 talks about that if as a reason to believe, not actual fraud. Even if you see the rules behind this section 143.12 rule 13, okay, it says that if a auditor has a reason to believe that an offense of a fraud which involves or expected to involve, that to believe, if you think there is an expected amount of 5 crores, which is more than 1 CR, even though it is expected, because it is required under the provisions of the act. Clear? So,
Sir,
yes.
one doubt, sir. Just to clarify, suppose if we take Caro, while reporting under the Caro under clause 11. So if there we should report the fraud on the company or by the company, no, sir?
Just give me a minute. Okay. On the Caro, no?
Yeah, in the Caro, clause 11, the auditor should report whether he has, whether there is a fraud on the company or by the company.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you.
It will cover both actually. Whether any fraud by or any fraud on the company.
It covers both. Whether any fraud by the company or any fraud on the company has been noticed.
Yes, sir. In that case, whether it should be actual or even that is, whether the auditor has a reason to believe in that case also it's the same, or
I'll tell you over there. See, now what the clause says is noticed or reported during the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when I say reported, when you suspect a clause as an auditor, you have to report. Okay. You have to report. So even if it is not an actual fraud, it was suspected, which was reported, you have to mention in the Caro.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah, that's what is noticed or reported.
Noticed or reported.
Yeah, reported means they identified all the evidence is paka. Notice means that's they have seen the reason to believe that it is there.
It is there, yeah. So that is you are required to report. Even there was a circular by the NFRA which was saying that when we say noticed or reported, it is not by the company. It includes by the company and by the auditor both.
Okay. So why they have differentiated noticed and reported, sir? If something has been, if the auditor has a reason to believe, then obviously they will, the auditor will report.
No, I'll tell you why the both words are used. Because there is a timeline to file ADT4. Okay. Now let's say at the time of finalization or signing, you identify something. Okay. But the time is still there for the ADT4 to file and to seek the reply and to do all those particular procedures. But the timeline for the Caro is not there. You have to sign the report.
Yes, got it, sir.
There are 45 days are there actually.
Yes.
If not responded within 15 days, they have to report to central government.
So it may be, to file a ADT4, there might be a time. But let's say for example, it's near to just only 2 days are left in the signing. There is a days left to file the ADT4. Okay, so you might report in the Caro and then you file the ADT4. So that's why notice and the reported both.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I need one clarification.
Hmm.
Should we convey this to audit committee also? Whatever fraud we will see, can we highlight in answer also? Like, is it conveyed to audit committee for their confirmation? Is it
In
relevant?
answer.
No, I'm saying like this, like audit committee should be aware if things going out of the way. Should we mention this also as an edit point or required, or is it part?
No, as a part of answer, as a part of practical scenario, like in practical life.
How, well, both ways. I just want to understand. Like audit committee should be informed. Some answers I've seen like audit committee should be informed for this deviation so
Yes,
that they can take
because
corrective
over there,
action.
see now again that depends upon the question. If it is question is only related to the CA Act, you may only restrict your answer to that. But if question is open-ended, that you what are the duties of the auditor in this scenario, that then the communication with the audit committee also comes into the picture because of SA 260 and 265.
Okay.
That's the responsibility of the auditor over there, that you have to communicate the matters to the audit committee. So you need to see what is the question about. Is the question restricted to only CA Act? Is the question open-ended, talking about that what are the duties of the auditor in this scenario? Then it will come all the duties, reporting to audit committee, CARO, CA Act, all those things, wherever it is applicable.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
But as soon as we identify the fraud by the auditor, they within 2 working days they have to inform to the board of directors. That is the
Yes, you have to
auditor
follow the procedure which is
procedure.
given in the section 143, subsection 12 or rule 13.
Correct. Or within 2 days you got to respond to them. They will take a call. They have to whether they are reply. We need to wait for them 45 days. If they are not responding, then within 15 days we go to report to the central government. That is a
Yes.
timeline given in
And
the act.
the clause 11 is divided in CARO in multiple subclauses. Clause 11.8 talks about any fraud. It does not restrict to any amount per se. So even if it is less than 1 CR, okay, where you have not filed or reported ADT1, okay, still it will cover under clause 11A. Clause 11B talks about filing under section 143.12. So is there any report filed for that? So also in clause 11 of the CARO, you have two distinctions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Clear?
Also, we need to see whether any whistleblower complaint.
Part C. Yeah, 11C. Yes. So in this particular scenario, no confidentiality issue, permissible, perfectly fine because required as per the law. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, great. If no doubt, what I propose is let's take a quick 10-minute break. Okay, after the break, we'll gather back and we'll continue the session. I have to discuss some more topics apart from schedules also. Okay, let's take a quick 10-minute break. There is one question in front of you, 3 lines question. Okay, nothing difficult, straightforward. Okay, let's read the question and then try to answer this particular question. It's a straightforward question, nothing difficult in this.
Mr. Managing Director of Indotax PVT Ltd decided to enter into joint venture with Mr. B of Virtua Tax PVT.
For the purpose of synergies, Mr. A is a member of institute. They both started Indo Virtua Tax Private Limited. Is Mr. A or B liable for professional misconduct? Straightforward. Yes. What do you think? Anyone? Yes, okay, very good. Under which clause? Straightforward, nothing difficult over here. Under which clause? Also professional misconduct, other misconduct. Quickly. Take a minute, read the question, then try to answer. Okay. Liable for misconduct, under which clause? Professional misconduct, other misconduct. And then we will go think about disciplinary mechanism on this. Anyone? What do you think about this particular question? Quickly. Is the screen visible to you guys?
Yes, sir. Screen is visible, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So simple question. I just want to understand which clause will you apply over here? A quick revision. Anyone? No? No clause?
Sir, class 11 of the first schedule of the part 1.
Okay. Good. Anyone else? Any other clause that you will apply over here? No? Okay, so I got an answer, clause 11. Can I apply clause 1? Oh, can I apply clause 4?
Sir, class 4 entering into the partnership.
This is a joint venture. Should I consider clause 4 here? Or strictly restricted to partnership? Okay.
Class 4 I don't feel it is not applicable.
Okay. So as of now, you are saying clause 4 no, and most of you are saying yes.
Clause 4, I don't think it will be applicable.
Okay, clause 4, I'll cut it down. Not clause 4. So clause 11, yes. And on the basis of this, clause 11, which kind of misconduct? Quickly. Professional or other misconduct?
Also, in this case, he is only member only, but not having certificate of practice. There is also one. See,
Exactly. You have to read this
see,
part.
actually, then the schedule 1, part 1 is specifically for the certification member, COP. here he is a member of institute. They can have the business, but before that he
Absolutely
no,
correct. Yes. Here, part
but
one will not be applicable in entirety because he's not a member in practice. So
yeah,
clause
that's what. But
1, clause 4, any of the clause of part 1 will not be applicable.
but we can mention class 1, class 11. We can mention since he is not having a certificate of practice, he does not attract this class 11.
Absolutely, yes. So clause 11 will also not get attracted. Neither clause 1 will get, 4 will get attracted. He's just a member. He can enter into a joint venture, okay? And Mr. A or Mr. B, both, they will not be liable for professional misconduct. There is nothing, in this scenario to be liable for professional misconduct.
So only we have, since it is a first time we are seeing this question, so we have to each and every word is important.
Yes. So always focus on small detail in your question. Do not overlook. Do not just try to skim your question like, okay, I'll just skim it and I'll write the answer. Do not perform this kind of activity. Reason because skimming can lead to, like if you are just, going through the question on a overall layer, just few words, you may miss important detail just like this, that Mr. A is just a member of institute.
Yes, sir. As,
Not a practicing
yeah,
chartered accountant.
as you advised during the class, in the regular class, see everything. If you are not understanding the question, read it again. Read it again. You understand thoroughly, then you try to answer. Otherwise, it will lead to okay. There will be small trick will be there. The not, is, what, member, all these things.
Yes.
Okay, sir. That is, I am following your words only.
Thank you. So always focus on each and every word of your question. Okay. Clear with this? Any doubt that no one is liable for professional misconduct? Clear? Good. Okay. Great. So I would like to take some more questions. Okay. Let's go to some of the past questions from, you can say, different material. Okay. Now the question is, Mr. Chetan, a practicing chartered accountant, was involved in a family dispute over ancestral property. To gain an undue advantage, he allegedly forged the will of his late uncle, presenting it as a genuine document during the legal proceedings. The forgery was later uncovered and the legal action was initiated against him. Although the act was committed in personal capacity and not in the course of his professional duties, a complaint was filed with the disciplinary committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Analyze whether Mr. Chetan would be liable for misconduct as per the provisions of CAA Act.
Yeah, definitely that class 2 of the part first schedule of the part 4 will attract.
Okay.
Other misconduct, dispute to the professional.
Okay. Anyone else with some different answer? Clause 2, part 2 of second schedule. There is no clause 2. Oh, clause 2, sorry, part 2. Okay. Contravening the act, regulations and guidelines. Okay. But does we have anything against the act over here? CA Act.
No, this is very clearly class 2 of the part 4.
About, okay, if you bring disrepute to the institute or to the profession, you will be deemed to be held guilty of other misconduct.
Yeah, this
Remember
other
that.
misconduct, not professional misconduct.
Yeah. So when you write in the exam, you always make sure that you write that, okay, clause 2, part 4, okay, first schedule, explain that, and then at the end, other misconduct.
Members in generally, actually, not for all, both.
But in general, Clear? Any doubt with this one? Any doubt? Okay. There is one more good question that I want to take it up over here is 3A. This is Veda Limited. Okay, let me read the question. Veda Limited, a listed company having headquarters in Delhi, is engaged in the production and supply of unique chemicals to various industries. Okay. To comply with the environmental regulation, the company installed pollution control equipment, okay, to process and treat the water waste before it discharge. However, despite regulatory requirements, the company continued to violate pollution control laws regarding the disposal of industrial waste. To obtain the necessary environmental clearance certificate, the company resorted to unethical means. An amount of 43.85 lakhs was unfully spent to secure the clearance, which was misrepresented in the financial records as an environmental compliance expense. This matter has not been brought to the attention to those charged with governance. However, during a periodic financial review, the Director of Finance, CA Rowan, discovered the irregularities. What actions should CA Rowan take in response to the situation, considering the applicable provisions of NOCLAR under the Code of Ethics? So we are talking about now something related to the Code of Ethics. What should be done by CA Rowan in this scenario? Quickly. Okay, tell me, what is the provision? Where is the provision of NOCLAR contained? Like from where it comes? Where is the provision of NOCLAR?
It is in the Act itself. In CA Act, we have the section separate. When the senior professional accountant in service and practices in, there is a separate two section, but it's applicable only the listed companies.
Okay. So it is, let's say the question says Veda Limited, a listed company having a headquarters in
Okay.
Delhi.
Then it is applicable. Definitely, it is applicable. They have to report to the board of directors immediately, and they have to take the action also. What action they have taken, everything they have to record and mention it. His duty to report it.
Okay, duty to report.
Yeah, he has to explain definitely to the officers.
Okay. So what is the responsibility here? Obtain information. Yes, very good. What else?
He has to obtain the information and he informed to them. But he is not hold responsible why it has happened or not. But his duty to only to respond to it, only to inform to the board of directors. As per section
Okay.
2, I believe section 260, 360, 26. Either it is 260. I somewhat I got confusion.
Okay.
Yeah. Practicing is a 360. That is a senior. Yeah, you informed me. 360. It's a 260 section.
Yes. So let me tell you how it works. See, when I talk about NOCLAR comes from Code of Ethics. Okay. NOCLAR is contained in the Code of Ethics and it is there with two different sections. Section 260 of the Code of Ethics talks about, okay, professional accountant and its responsibilities. Section 360 talks about that audit of listed entity in, like, what is the responsibility of a professional member when it comes to the audit of a listed entity. Like when there is a professional accountant in practice, okay, PA in practice, like professional accountant in practice with respect to listed entity, an audit of listed entity. Okay, at that point in time, Section 360 is applicable of the NOCLAR. Now, what it says that, first of all, we need to understand what is NOCLAR and what is non-compliance means. Non-compliance, as the definition provided, says that any act, omission, commission, whether intentional or unintentional, which is contrary to the law, committed by specified parties. In that case, it will be a non-compliance. Okay, any act, omission, or commission. Now, when I say act, omission, or commission, okay, which is contrary to the law, it becomes NOCLAR, like non-compliance. So, let's say Mr. A is the director of Veda Limited. I'm just extending the question for time being. Okay, let's say Mr. A is director of Veda Limited. Now, Mr. A, okay, what he did is illegally constructed building on open land. Okay, or when I say building, it's a, let's say, house. His personal house. This is a personal house on open land, not owned by him. This information he shared with CA Rowan, who is the finance director that we are talking about over here, like the director of finance, CA Rowan. He shared this information with CA Rowan that I have constructed my house on the land which is not owned by me. I have constructed illegally. Now tell me, is it a non-compliance?
No, sir, it is not a non-compliance. Only in relating to the business, if there is any violation of the non-compliance, that no clause, that only he has to bring it to notice. For the personal related, the director, all these things outside the business, it is not required to mention. No clause does not apply.
Yes, very good. Anyone else would like to add to this? Anyone else? So personal, fine. Okay, personal, fine. Now let me modify this further. Okay, let me modify this. So here I told you that, okay, it's a director of the company. Let's say, for example, Mr. A is not a director. Time being, we will just, as of now, remove it. Mr. A is not a director. Time being, what we'll say is Mr. A is, let's say, what you can say, lawyer appointed by the company, or not even the lawyer, I would say. Let's say it's a customer, big customer of the company, customer or vendor. And when I say customer or vendor, so total sales to this customer is more than 50%, like more than 50% of total, 50% of sales happens to this customer. Okay, we'll remove the vendor. So total sales to this customer is more than 50% of the sale of the company. Now tell me, is this a NOCLAR? Majority, more than 50% of the sale is happening to this particular customer. You can say this is a significant customer of the company. Tell me, what do you think?
No, sir, it is, even though it is not applicable on this case as well. But the customer's auditor will see and he will report at the no clerk. It is not my client. Why are you to worry about others
Independent
person?
customer related to the company.
But when it comes in the related party transaction, that we will see. But under the no clause, there is no, we will not report it.
Anyone else with a different answer?
Sir, if it is substantially harm to the others, means like child labor and all, it is a no class. It will come in under no class.
Okay.
So NOCLAR does not address the personal misconduct unrelated to business, sir. So it is not affected.
Sir, one more
Not
thing.
affected.
One more thing. It is a client, professional accountant, or employing organization. Those charged with the governance of the client or employing organization. Nowhere it is mentioned in that the customer or supplier or something. It is very specific, client or professional accountant of the employing organization.
Okay.
Committed by, this is see, the act of omission or commission, intentional, unintentional, is done by client or professional accountant employing organization, which means a CA who is not in practice is working there. Likewise, those charged with the THW of the but management of the client, employing organization. That's it.
Okay.
So simply put, sir, I mean, if it is personal misconduct which is unrelated to business, then the party is not at all relevant, no, sir. I mean, I'm just asking.
Yes, absolutely correct. So personal misconduct is not required to be considered for the purpose of no clause. Like it's not covered over here. Okay. So personal misconduct is not included in non-compliance. So when I talk about the definition of non-compliance, purposefully I said that okay, like I have made a strict mark at omission commission that does not include personal misconduct or unrelated to business activity. Remember that. Unrelated to business activity of the organization. And it has to be conducted by employing organization, individual charged with governance, member of management, or employees of the organization. Otherwise, it will not be. When I say specified party, it will be, other, like if it is conducted by anyone else out of these four, not covered.
Yeah, that is the reason we are not bringing them.
Yeah. Now coming to back the question that we were discussing. Okay, I'll just remove all these things as of now. Now tell me one thing, in this particular scenario, how would you write the answer? What you will write in the answer? This is a question which is there for the 5 marks. What actions CA Rohan should take? What actions CA Rohan should take? It's non-compliance, perfectly fine. But how will you write the answer now? No CLAR applicable, senior professional accountant. Very good. Very good, Geeta. Yes. Very good.
Also the response to NOCLAR, I mean, the steps to be taken for responding.
Okay. And what are those steps?
Yeah, as per the section 260 of the Code of Conduct.
Obtaining and understanding.
Okay. Yes.
He should obtain an understanding of the matter. After that, he should analyze it and discuss the matter with the appropriate authority or those charged with governance. If they respond in time or if they do not respond, he should analyze what are the further actions to be taken.
Yes. Very good.
Sir, first the provisions PAC. First we will write the provisions, then we have to write the analysis, then we have to put the conclusion. First, I will mention the provision. The provision what talks about as per the no clause section code of conduct, section 260, senior professional accountant in service, since being a listed company, when he is employed there in the company, if he identify any no clause items, he has to immediately report to the board of directors immediately to take the appropriate action on this case.
Yes.
In this case, we have to put in this case, this matter involved is in the company is listed company. Also, this senior professional accountant is employed there. So, and that amount also is very big. We can mention the amount is not necessary, but he identified the issues relating to the laws and regulation. He has to report it. A conclusion is based on the analysis, he has to report the steps. He has to inform, he has to analyze, obtain the understanding of the matter, address the matter, and seek the advice from the, and after that, how the matter was concluded, and he has to make it the documentation.
Okay. Okay. Yes. See, let's see the answer. Okay. What you need to do is, first of all, you need to provide what is happening here. Like, we need to provide what is happening. Okay. This is a scenario which is given. Okay. Then here it is the responsibility of the professional accountant. Okay. Senior professional accountant, because in case of the service, like when, professional accountant is in service, over there, the no clause is applicable to senior professional accountant. Okay. It is applicable to professional accountant in service and in practice. And when it comes to the service, it is applicable to senior professional accountant in service. Okay. And here, as per the no clause, the senior professional accountant in service is required to consider the non-compliance, what is the non-compliance and what is happening. They need to understand that. Okay. Whether it's an imminent breach of law or regulation that would harm these substantial harm to the investors, whether it's a continuing breach, okay, whether it's a serious, what are the serious consequences of this breach, okay, and on the basis of that, understand like what are the actions that is required, understand the matter, addressing the matter, seeking advice if required, determining whether further action needs, determine whether to disclose the matter to the appropriate authority. Okay, if there is an imminent breach, okay, if there is an imminent breach, then what steps is required to be taken to control that. In exceptional circumstances, the senior professional accountant might have a reason to believe that the breach is still going on, the breach is still there, and the breach will harm the investors, creditors, and employees, or in general public at large. Okay, then at that point in time, he needs to understand, do I need to take any action for the imminent breach? And for all these things, document. This is the steps that the CA Rohan is required to take. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Any doubt? Let's take one good case study. Like I have a good case study. Let's take one. The case study is CA Herman, a practicing chartered accountant, intends to file out the multi-purpose empanelment form to be included in the panel for the statutory auditor of bank branches for the financial year 23-24, as hosted by the Professional Development Committee of ICAI. The application process requires submission of XML files for personal income tax along with the computation of income. During the relevant financial year for which the information is sought, CA Herman had engaged in the currency and commodity derivatives transaction, declaring the resulting income under the business income in its tax return. Additionally, Pitch Private Limited approached CA Herman to digitally sign and upload a resignation form related to Mr. Rohit, one of its director, on the Registrar of Company portal. However, the signature of Mr. Rohit has been copy-pasted by another director of the company. Without verifying the authenticity of the resignation letter, CA Herman digitally signed the form and then was uploaded to ROC portal. Subsequently, CA Herman actions were brought under the scrutiny when the Director Discipline of the Institute received complaints regarding alleged misconduct. Upon investigation, he was found guilty of misconduct and the competent authority imposed appropriate penalty in accordance with the provisions of the CA Act. Now the given questions. But before we go to the given questions, read this for a minute. Read the case scenario again for a minute before we proceed further. Okay. Done? Shall we proceed to the questions? Shall we proceed to the questions? Okay. So, first question. Whether CA Herman will be guilty for reflecting income from currency and commodity derivatives as a business income? If yes, under which clause? So we'll go to the clause in a while, but tell me this.
Sir, clause 11,
Clause 11 of?
part 1, schedule 1, to the first schedule.
Why?
Because trading in currency and commodity, I mean equity, I mean trading in equity and currency derivatives is allowed. I mean if it's in his own name, but not in the firm name. But trading in the commodity derivatives is not allowed for a chartered accountant, whether in practice or not.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, in practice, if he is in practice, then if he trades in commodity derivatives, then it is not allowed.
Anyone else? With a different answer? Anyone? Okay. So clause 11. Okay, let's see the options. Options are this. A, yes, will be guilty for reflecting the income under clause 11 part 1 first schedule of CA Act. Second, clause 6, guilty, but clause 6 part 1 first schedule of CA Act. Option C, not guilty. Option D, yes, guilty, clause 2 part 1 of first schedule. So which is the one? A?
A is right.
A.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So basically, see, understand in this particular scenario, what is happening is, okay, answer is correct. Okay, your answer is correct. It will be A. Reason because that's a different business, commodity and derivatives, and you need to take approval. Without approval, no, you cannot, enter into any other business other than the profession of a chartered accountant, unless it's allowed in general. The list is given. If it is not one of the list, they need to take special permission.
See, if he is not a COP, he is already doing the audit. Then he will be the he is having a certificate of practice. That is a reason. Straight away we are going there. If he is a member, he is allowed. He can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the second question. Whether CA Herman will be held liable for the misconduct of uploading the digital signed resignation letter? If yes, under which clause?
Yeah, again,
Liable, yes or no?
Yes, sir. He is liable, definitely. Class 2, Part 1 of second schedule.
Okay. Clause 2, Part 1, second schedule. Anyone else with a different answer?
Sir, can it be clause 7, part 1 of the second schedule, which is which is option B, grossly negligent?
Okay. What is clause 2 basically?
2 is signing without examination.
Signing without examination. And what is clause 7?
Who is who is not exercising due diligence and gross negligent.
Okay. Let's understand this. What is happening in this particular scenario? Here, CA Harman was approached to design and upload a resignation letter from Mr. Rohit, one of his director on ROC. However, the signature has been copy-pasted by another director of the company without verifying the authenticity of the resignation letter. The thing here given is that he did not verify the authenticity of the resignation letter. He did examine, but not the authenticity. It is not like that he did not examine entirely anything. Understand? So here the question is only on the authenticity of the document. Okay. Now, if you see the clause 2, basically.
Sir, clause 2 applies only in case of examination of financial statement and related documents, no, sir, but not in case of resignation letter and other cases stuff.
Yes, yes. It is basically on the financial statement reports and the certificates of the financial statement. Okay. Not on the non-financial information which is there like a resignation letter. Number 1. Number 2, here also, even if I say like it is applicable, even if I say for a time being it is applicable, here it is not the case that he has not examined at all. Here the examination was done, but he was gross negligent just because he did not authenticate the resignation letter where the copy paste was there. So because of that, because of being gross negligent, clause 7 will come, not the clause 2. Yes, if it was a case like, without seeing what is there inside, okay, whether it's a resignation letter, appointment letter, he filed for the resignation without verifying without looking at the contents of the document. I can, still go for clause 2. That is, submit or certifies in his name or a report or examination of a financial statement unless it is done by. But over there also, it's a financial statement. It covers the report, certificate, everything, but it's related to the financial data, not on the resignation letter. Clear? That's why I will invoke clause 7 rather than the clause 2 in this particular scenario. Any doubt?
No, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. 14. Before which authority would CA Herman's misconduct case be placed for disciplinary proceedings?
Disciplinary committee, because it's involved in the second schedule.
Yes, absolutely correct. Disciplinary committee. Reason because it involves the second schedule. Okay, last one. What is the minimum punishment that could have been imposed on CA Herman under the CA Act?
Removal of name from register of members and fine up to 5 lakh.
No, sir. It is a reprimand the member. First one, A. That is a minimum. That is a maximum. That is B. The word is minimum is given.
Yes, absolutely correct. So when we are talking about minimum punishment, maximum is removal of name from registered permanently for a specified period and fine up to 5 lakh rupees. That's a maximum. But minimum, it's reprimand the member. That's the minimum punishment.
They will call and warn, and they will send the member not to do again.
Okay. Any doubt till now that whatever we have discussed? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, let's proceed further. Okay. I have a few more questions to discuss on the, like, we will discuss some more questions from the previously asked and previously, presented questions, so that we could have an understanding of how the questions are also there, and how you need to practice more on these topics. Okay. So question is pretty easy. CA Yug, a practicing chartered accountant, is a promoter director of CDS Private Limited and is also a sleeping partner in his family garment manufacturing business. Is CA Yug liable for professional misconduct as per the CA Act? Simple, straightforward. Take a minute, read the question, and then try to answer. So what do you think? Is CA Yug liable?
Yes.
And what is the reason?
Because he's a practicing chartered accountant. So he can be like he can be director, but he cannot be promoter director. And then he's a sleeping partner in his family's business.
He's a sleeping partner, not an active partner.
But only for a first case means he cannot be promoter director of CDS Private Limited. He can be a director.
Okay. Anyone else with a different answer?
Yes, sir. I have that. CA in practice, he can be allowed to say promoted director, and also he can be a sleeping partner in the family business. He should not engage in a business. Both are allowed.
Okay. Anyone else with a different answer? So both are allowed? Okay. Now let's understand the term promoter director. Okay. And let's understand the sleeping partner concept over here. See, who is the promoter director? And what is there in the clause 11? Okay. Like if we go to the clause 11, we'll read the clause 11 and the regulation 192. See, regulation 192, permissions generally granted. In that, you have that the permissions are granted for these items, and in that particular one, just a minute. Yeah. We have director of the company. Okay. So we have one particular area where we are talking about director of the company. Now, we are aware that, okay, a particular charter accountant in practice can be a director of the company. Okay, he can be a director of the company, but he cannot be a whole-time director or managing director. He cannot be a managing director or whole-time director of a body corporate. Now, promoter director, when I talk about, it's not a whole-time director or a managing director. Promoter director, when I talk about, it's not a whole-time director or managing director. Promoter director means the person who has signed the memorandum of association. There may be another whole-time director or managing director for that particular company. So it is not necessary that when I use the term promoter director, he's the managing director or he's the whole-time director of the company. It means the only director who signed the memorandum of association at the time of incorporation. That's why he's the promoter director. He's a simply a director who signed the memorandum of association. Okay. So in that case, you can say that it is equivalent to the director, simpliciter, or ordinary director, simple director, who is not a managing director or whole-time director. Clear? So when I talk about director promoter, it's a simple director. There is no bar or to sign like for a member to sign to the MOA of any company. You can be simple director, there is no restriction on that. So for the point number 1, when I say director, promoter director, that would be fine. Unless and until you are a managing director or whole-time director, that would not be fine, because for this you need a special permission. Now coming to the sleeping partner in the family managed business. Now what is it? Requirement. Requirement says that you can have an interest in family business concern, perfectly fine. Okay. Or concerns in which interest have been acquired as a result of relationship, okay, in which no active part is taken. Okay. But when I talk about interest in the family business, it has to be including interest with respect to inheritance, succession, or partition of family business. And I'm talking about interest, where you are not taking active part. Now, when I talk about sleeping partner, it's still a partner.
But not active. Not an active partner. Is not active in business.
Yes, it's not an active business, but it's a partner. I'm not talking about interest. I'm talking about partnership.
Yes.
Interest is something different. Being a partner is something different. Okay. And it is necessary for the member. It is necessary for the member to provide evidence that the interest in the family business is devolved him in the result of the either inheritance, succession, or partition. It is also necessary for him to show that he is not actively carrying on. And the said business or family business concern was not created by himself. Like it was something, passed on to him. Like it is not something he created, but it was given in inheritance, in succession, or in partition. So for that, he has to provide evidence. He has to provide evidence that he is not actively participating. Just by being a sleeping partner, you cannot say that I'm not actively participating. Okay. So in this particular scenario, when I talk about promoter director, this means a simple director. But when I talk about sleeping partner, is there any information that it was given as an inheritance, succession, or partition? No. Is there anywhere given that he is not actively engaged? Just the word sleeping is not enough to demonstrate that he is not actively engaged. This particular word, sleeping, not enough to demonstrate that he is not actively engaged. As a result, for the one promoter director, good to go. For the second sleeping partner, not good to go.
Sir, I have one doubt here. In case of HUF business which is taken up by the CA in practice, he should provide that he is not actively engaged in the business. I mean, in the day-to-day activities of the business, no, I mean the family business. So what can be such documents, sir? I mean, he should provide.
See, now for a company, it is very easy. Show that, okay, there are multiple things you can show. Who is the person who signs the checks or, issues the payment? Who is the person who is, taking the decisions of how much inventory to order, what is the inventory order, who is coordinating with vendors, customers, who is finalizing the contracts. So all these things. Similar to what you can say, if you have gone through the portion of in the income tax with respect to the PE, the documentation required to show that it's like whether permanent establishment is there or not, or substantial significant economic presence is there or not. Similar kind of documentation you can say who is actively actually participating in those activities.
Okay, sir, got it.
Okay, so for this particular question, first one is perfectly fine, second one is not. So as a promoter director, not guilty. As a sleeping partner, guilty. Clear?
Yes, sir. Thanks. It's eye-opener to us. Because of the word sleeping, I was sleeping while answering the question.
He should not.
So,
Okay.
sir, in this case, does that mean that sleeping partner, I mean, by default, it doesn't mean that he is not actively engaged in the business, whether it's
Yes,
family business or whatever the business may be.
yes.
So
Because
it's not sufficient.
member has to provide evidence for that.
Okay.
So it is necessary for a member to show that he was not
Not
actively
actively.
engaged.
I mean,
And in question also, it should be specifically specified.
The question was silent. That's a problem. Okay. If it is silent, okay. But okay, we need to get the special permission for this.
Yes.
It's a really very good question, actually.
And
All the
even,
questions.
yes, yeah. And even when we talk about interest in family business, okay, it has to be acquired as an inheritance, successions, partition, okay, in which he is not taking any active part. So it has to be shown that he is not the one who has created this business. It is the family business, not his business. Family business, he is getting the part in that just because interest in that just because of the inheritance, succession, or partition. That's why the term family business is used. Any other doubt?
sorry, sir, but I didn't understand that sleeping partner, that criteria, sir. Can you just repeat once again?
See, sleeping partner, like I can term any partner as a sleeping partner, but that doesn't actually the if you see, is there any official definition of sleeping partner in any of the act?
Sir,
Answer is no.
yes, sir. In Partnership Act 1972, there is a sleeping partner concept. He will not share any profit sharing, all this thing. He will be less thing. I think theoretically, I don't know whether any section is there on, but we studied in the intermediate section.
See,
Sir,
it is assume like it's the concept like sleeping partner. Okay. If you see, it's a concept of sleeping partner, but that does not mean that he is like, not actively participating. Or let's say, for example, time being, I assume he is not actively participating. What about the second condition? It should be the result of the inheritance, succession, and the partition of family business.
No, sir, now point number 4 is very relevant. Here they are mentioning only the family business, but it's not a family business. In the question, it's look like it's not a family business at all. If it is a family business, then it is okay. But that word also is not provided there. But it's very clear that it's a sleeping partner is also one of the partner. Definitely he will see by that time the agreement saying he is not the RTU, but later they can amend very well immediately also. He can be a participative. Anything
Yes.
will happen. If the two partners are there, one partner is the active partner is died. Immediately the sleeping partner will become the active partner.
So that's why here it will not be we will not consider in this scenario that this is the interest in the family business acquired in the result of these things, and he is not actively engaged. Any doubt now still, or like, would you like me to explain further?
No, sir.
Okay, if no doubts, shall I proceed to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's take up one more question. Okay. The question is pretty easy, not that much difficult. The cashier of a company committed a fraud and absconded with the proceeds thereof. The chief accountant of the company also did not know when the fraud had occurred. During the audit, the auditor failed to discover the fraud. However, the fraud was discovered by the chief accountant after the audit was completed. Investigation made at that time indicated the auditor did not exercise proper skill and care and performed his work in a desultory and haphazard manner. With this background, the director of the company intend to file disciplinary proceedings against the auditor. Comment with reference to the Charter Accountant Acts and schedule thereto. Straightforward, take a minute, read the question, and then tell me what do you think about this particular scenario.
Sir, clause 9, part 1 of the second schedule.
Sir, clause 7.
Clause
Also clause 7. Clause 9 is the first thing. The thing is that he used to fail to invite the attention of any material departure from the generally accepted things. Also, the does not exercise due diligence.
Okay.
I mean, it's clause 7 should be of. I mean, clause 7 is more relevant, I feel, sir. I mean, it's not that clause 9 will not apply, but clause 7 addresses more in this case.
Okay. Clause 7. Okay. Anything else? Any other clause do you think that might be relevant? Any other clause? There are multiple, like fail to report misstatement, fail to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence.
Clause 8 also will apply.
Clause 6, 7, 8. Okay. 8 also applies.
Then if it is really fraud, then clause 5 of the part 2 Companies Act. but that is not that much relevant.
See,
Unless otherwise we are very clear, we should not go there.
Clause 9 will be applicable because he fails to invite attention to any material departure from the generally accepted procedure of audit applicable to the circumstances.
Okay.
Sir, I think clause 7 and 8 will be applicable.
Clause 7 and 8.
7 and 9, I think, but I don't know if regarding 8.
Okay. 7 and 9.
For 5 and 6, he should actually know that there is some misstatement or some mistake which is not reported. But here, as he did not apply audit procedures, he might have not known that there is any misstatement or a mistake. So 5 and 6 will not be applicable.
Sir, is there any application of NOCLAR here?
Okay, let me tell you the answer. See, now in this particular question, okay, it's a simple question. It's not that complicated, but there is one important thing that is we have to focus upon. Now, what is the important thing that we need to focus in this particular scenario is, I'll tell you. Now, when I talk about clause, let's go clause by clause and discuss this. We talk about clause. Now, what is the material misstatement in this particular scenario is that there could be, the cash is not there on the hand. Okay, the cashier absconded with the proceeds. So cash is not there at the hand, and the chief accountant also did not know the fraud has occurred. Auditor failed to discover the fraud. Okay, why? The reason was not given. But what is given is that did not exercise proper skill and care and performed his work in haphazard manner. Okay, this one. Haphazard manner means some work was performed on that particular area, and disciplinary manner, that means some work was performed in an appropriate way. Okay, work was performed, but it was not performed in an appropriate way with a lack of planning. This resultary means that is, there is a lack of planning in that particular area. Okay. Now, what is the scenario is if I say fails to report material misstatement, but that has to be known to him. If you see the requirement, fails to report material misstatement, that has to be known to him. Whether he was aware about this particular fraud?
No, sir. He is not aware. No. Auditor does not aware. Only that based on the investigation only, he came to know that he audited a fault. Only
that
chief
too
accountant
after
only
signing
knows.
of report. That too
After
after signing of the report. Okay. So at the time of signing, it was not aware. Auditor was not aware there is a material statement. So we cannot say that, it's a material statement known to him, but he was not able to report. So that is not the case in this particular scenario. 6 will not be applicable.
Correct.
Okay. 8. What 8 talks about fails to obtain sufficient information which is necessary for expression of opinion. And the exceptions are sufficiently material to negate the expression of opinion. See, when I talk about fails to obtain sufficient information to support the opinion. Now, in this case, particularly, okay, do we know the amount of the fraud?
No.
Do we know whether this amount is material and will change to my opinion, or whether it will change my audit opinion? No. Then can I say that I have failed to obtain sufficient information which is necessary for my expression of opinion?
No.
I don't have an
It will not be applicable at any cost.
Yeah. So in that case, I cannot apply clause 6. I cannot apply clause 8 also. Now, what is clause 9? Clause 9 talks about fails to invite attention to any material departure. That means activity was not at all performed, that audit procedure. In this scenario, the haphazard manner or dysentery manner, the activity has performed, but this means lack of planning or in not in proper way, not properly. So there is no departure per se, but it was not properly performed.
Sir, since we don't know the amount of the fraud, we cannot say that it's a material departure from the accepted procedure, generally accepted procedure. No, sir. If the amount was known of the amount known, I mean the fraud amount was known, and he did not perform the work in a proper manner, then we can say that it's a material departure.
No. When material departure will come is, let's say for example, in the question it is given that he did not perform cash verification, physical verification of cash, or he did not perform the cash counting, only relied upon the counting performed by the management, or he did not perform cash counting of major cash balance. He only performed cash counting of a small cash balance.
But
or it can be the scenario that he did not perform cash count on the financial statement date. Rather, he performed on some other date and he left it like, okay, fine. In Feb or in April, or I'm not performing any other procedure. That is a material departure.
Yes, sir. Also, the material departure here, you can that as per the procedure, the audit standard. Say example, SA 240, which talks about the fraud responsibility. As per the standard, he did not perform that analysis.
Yes. So if
also SA 220 also will talk about that matter. SA 200 also generally accepted audit principle. Procedure also he not followed properly. If he followed properly, then he would have arrested this matter.
Yes. So there is no departure per se. There is only, scenario where he did not exercise due diligence. As a result, I will only invoke clause 7 of part 1 of second schedule. Clear?
Yes, sir.
It may appear on the face that, clause 6 is also applying, clause 8 is also applicable, clause 9 is also applicable. But read the question and then you have to interpret like what is given in the question. Is it a particular misstatement which was known to him? Is there any missing audit procedure? Is there any, opinion which is wrongly issued? So sir, then I can apply these clauses.
Sir, why not clause 9, sir?
That's why I'm saying. So clause 9 is fail to invite material departure. Again, I'm saying member of institute in practice because of the joint auditor. Second, member who is a partner can sign. Now, member who is a partner. Now, to be a partner, he has to be in practice.
In practice.
Yes, he has to be in practice.
Yeah,
so
he should be a COP.
Employee is picture. In clause 12, do not get confused within the employee. Employee is not there. Either he has to be a member of institute in practice or partner. When I say partner, by default becomes member in practice. Because we have seen in clause 4. Okay. Now coming back to the question. Here, CA Meet, who is also a chartered accountant, in this given scenario, when this is specifically given that he's a chartered accountant. See, if question is entirely silent on whether he's a chartered accountant or not, at that point in time, if you take a decision, that is different story. But here specifically it is given he's a chartered accountant and nothing about being in practice. That means he's not in practice.
Yes, since it is a COP is not mentioned, then he will be guilty.
Yes, so here, if you assume, it will not be appropriate because in the question it is appropriately given that he's a chartered accountant only, not in practice. If he would have been practice, it was mentioned like chartered accountant in practice. When I say only chartered accountant, he's a member of institute. So he's only member, not in practice. As a result, he signs the stock statement after due verification on his behalf. Only, and let's say for example, time being, he's in practice. Okay. But he's a partner.
No.
No, he's
He's
not a
not
partner.
And then if he's not a partner, he should be another member, independent member. Like employee usually cannot sign reason because see, when someone is signing on my behalf, either he is the joint auditor or he is, signing partner in that one. Generally, employees are not signing partner. Like he's an assistant over there. But any which ways in this particular scenario, he's member not in practice. That's why he cannot sign. The moment he signs, clause.
Yes, sir.
Any doubt till now on whatever topic we have discussed? Any doubt? May 26 is the exam. Okay. Or you have an appropriate writing practice. Do not only read the answers. Start writing the answers. That's very important. 3 hours. You have to write all the answers within that given time frame in an appropriate manner. That comes with the practice. Please, I request, write the answers, do the writing practice as much as you can. Okay, so that you can understand that how much time it takes to write an answer for a question of 4 marks or 5 marks, and that will come with a practice. The time usually initially when you write for the first time, you may take a more time because you think you write, but gradually once you will practice, you will come to know that how I can write the answer with a quality within the given time frame. Okay, so practice as much as you can. Okay, material is there, a lot of materials are there, and if you have any doubt at any point in time for any of the questions, please ask. Take the benefit of this particular facility or the other facilities which are given by the institute. Please ask your doubts. Okay, if no further doubts or no further questions, then thank you guys. Thank you for participating in today's session. I will see you in the next session.
Sir, one request is there.
Yes.
See, today as like there was no connectivity, so I was not some clauses missed. So can we brush it a little bit, means within half an hour in the next class for all these clauses, if time permits you? And in the last class, I just request that you can take give us some questions so that we can give you in writing, means how much time it takes or how will we be presenting in writing the answers, because the suggested we go for that, it's a long answer, so we cannot, if we'll be summarizing, so it gets either very summarized or it gets either very exhaustive. So it kills time.
For that, I would recommend, see, I'll upload the questions that we discuss in the class. Take participation in the MTP, mock test papers. Mock test papers will really help you to, practice the writing thing.
So it would be on computer only, no? Means a mock test paper will have to type all the things, or how it will go?
No, it's there on the portal. If you go to BOS ICAI, if you log into your, to your account, over there you will get the paper. So you have to get the paper in soft copy. You can print it and then, write the answer physically.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I think during the first week of March, they scheduled the first series. Very exactly as per the schedule, they will open the question at 1:45 p.m. exactly. You can download it and keep it ready, and you can start writing at the 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock to it's not a computerized. You have to take your note and pen. You have to write it.
Write it. Even if you go, you have the previous mock test papers on the BOS portal. You can get those also.
Yeah, we have a lot of MTP and answer. Answer will be published within 2 days, 48 hours.
Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay, then. Thank you, guys. Thank you for participating. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good,
Thank you.
good night, sir.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.